Thank you very much for coming out to the summit, first of all, here in Amsterdam. And what I will be presenting today is just a tutorial on OCP, what we're all about, what the community is all about, how to get involved, how the contribution process works, because you might have heard about that. Basically, just a very broad overview of what OCP is. So this is the foundation staff. You've probably seen a lot of us up there on the stage. Rocky Bullock is our CEO. Obviously, my title is, and my responsibility is to the community, so I will be your primary contact within OCP once you join. And if you want introductions or how to get around, what to do, how to do it, I'm usually your person. Steve Helvey, you heard from him today. He's our VP of Channels. Bill Carter, you also heard from him today. He's our CTO. Dirk Van Slyke is our marketing and communications. And John Laban, Michael Schill, Rajiv, you've all seen all of us, and you'll probably see our names if you interact with us at some point in time. Pretty small staff. We're not based in any one location. Everybody works remotely. So John Laban is in Europe. Steve is now in Europe. Rocky and the rest of us are all spread out over the United States. A little bit about OCP. About 200 corporate members. It's growing fairly quickly. We've got a mix of adopters, we've got a mix of suppliers, as well as solution providers. And I'll go into a little bit more detail of what solution providers are, but they're basically our integrators. They take all of the hardware, integrate it either with the software or integrate it within the rack, and then sell you a complete solution. About 6,000 participants made up of engineers, business development and sales, executives, marketing, facilities folks, academia, from all walks of life. And our member companies are pretty global. They're from all over the world. You can take a quick look at our membership directory when you go to the link. Just go to our website, and there's a directory there. You can see exactly what the membership mix is. A little bit about OCP, and I know that Mark Rennick, our chairman of the board, alluded to this in his keynote presentation, but basically we had IHS Markit do an assessment of the impact of OCP and our product and our influence in the marketplace. And this is a global impact statement. So you can see we're experiencing double-digit growth, primarily in Asia, but Europe is right behind it. And I think that the Americas have kind of stabilized with their use of OCP and their growth of OCP. And you can get all of the details of this market assessment. It's a pretty fat file. You can get it on our website. It's also available on YouTube. IHS Markit did a presentation on this in March at our Global Summit. So basically, the bottom line takeaway is that in 2019, we're expected to be $2.9 billion, going up to $6 billion by 2021. And again, like I said, this is a global statement. And what's meant by non-board member companies is we take Facebook off. Facebook is not included in here. Intel is not included. Rackspace is not included. Microsoft is not included. And Goldman Sachs is not included. So this is outside of Facebook, outside of our board member companies. Let me see. Oops, backwards. So when you come into OCP and you want to become a member, there are 4 levels of our membership. Starting at the community level, and that's kind of our observation level. A lot of people join at this level, see how things work, and then go up. OCP Silver, Gold, is exactly how much contribution you make. And I'll go into a detail about what contributions are, but our membership fees actually go down as you go up in the higher tiers. So Platinum is actually less expensive than Silver. And the reason for that is that we realize that our Platinum members do a lot more for us. They sponsor a lot of events. They contribute a lot more. So for them, their membership is discounted. OK, so Bill talked about this in the keynotes, but we have 9 different projects. I think it's 9. No, 10 different projects now. And each project has a lot of subgroups in it. We go from technology, which is our upper tier, networking, rack and power, storage server, to really segments. We've got a data center facility segment. We've got a high performance computing segment, a telco segment. And then the other 3 are software, embedded software or firmware related. There's hardware management, system firmware, and security. Each group is its own community. So the networking group will have its own community, and then within the networking group, all of the subgroups is a subset of that community. So you will have a call for the networking community, and it will have over 200 members on it. But when you start doing an Open Network Linux call, or an Open Network Install Environment call, or a Sonic call, those numbers start to decrease, and you get more focus within those groups. So how to participate in OCP? This is a question, as a community director, I get asked a lot. How do I get involved? Well, there's a bunch of different ways to get involved. You can join a mailing list. So those 10 projects or those sub-projects, each of them have their own mailing list. And you can get involved in the mailing list. So that way you're aware of everything that's going on in the project. There's calls that are held on a monthly basis. So you can join the calls. Now, I understand with Europe, it's a different time zone maybe. The time difference may be really hard for you to join. All our calls are recorded, and every single call, along with the slides, are on our wiki page. So you can access it after the fact. And then if you have any questions, reach out to the mailing list, ask your questions, and you'll get answers right away. So that's one way to do it. Drive. What we need is thought leaders in our project community. So the Advanced Cooling Group is a great example. We had several people from the European community say, you know what, you need to do cooling. Cooling is not addressed in OCP at all. It's not addressed in the ecosystem. It's not addressed in any of the segments. So they brought that thought leadership to us. We talked about it, and we said, okay, how do we do this? And which segment is it most appropriate to go in? Does it make sense to go under rack? Does it make sense to put it under a facilities? Does it make sense to put it under a specific storage or server element? And it turned out the best place was under rack and power. And so we started to create a subgroup under rack and power. And then we reached out to the community and said, okay, what are the different work streams? Because each project has a charter. So what's included in that charter and what's not included in that charter? And that's how the genesis of Advanced Cooling Solutions started. Now we have a charter. There are 3 work streams that they're addressing. They're addressing air cooling, they're addressing liquid cooling, and they're addressing cold plate. And all of those are going to have their own charter, and they're going to have a subset of those members that are interested in each one of those work streams join. We're also going to have leaders in those work streams because we work on volunteership, right? All of our members are volunteer leaders. So if you see a volunteer leader, they're a project lead, they're a sub-project lead, or they sit on our steering committee. So our project leads for the Advanced Cooling Solution, you ended up reaching out to the community and saying, who wants to lead this? And what's important to you? Can you add your thought leadership? Can you add your subject matter expertise to our project? And a lot of them raised their hands and said, absolutely, I can. So that's how the project leaders are born. Contribution. So contributions come in very different shapes and sizes. You can contribute a spec. You can contribute complete design files, and we're talking CADs, BOMs, Gerber files, testing plans. All of that can be contributed. You can have reference architectures based on those products, the hardware and the software. You can have configurations that are tested. Like Cumulus does a great job of testing their backpack on a bunch of different switches. And so that is something that they have contributed to OCP, and you can get tested configurations. There's white papers that are done, there's case studies that are done, there's embedded software that's done within our GitHub directory. So there's a lot of different ways to contribute. And I'll get into a little bit more detail, but basically that's what we mean to contribute. And then you're already doing the last one. You're attending a summit, you're attending panels, you're attending workshops, you'll be attending workshops all day. Sometimes our suppliers like to do technology days, and so they will bring in their suppliers, they will bring in their customers, and OCP will bring in our community. And we'll do a very concentrated tech day. So those are also something that are starting to happen more in Europe. They've been doing it in the US. It's happening now in Asia as well. So there's a lot of different ways to participate in our project communities. So I alluded to this. There are the traditional ways that people contributed, which was specifications, design files, and embedded software. And then there's recognition. So you contribute a specification under a royalty-free patent non-assert. What that means is you retain your IP. You're not donating your IP to us. You're not assigning IP to us. We don't know what to do with your IP. What you are saying is that if you contribute a spec, that whoever uses that spec, that you will not assert any patents on it. And it's only for one version of that spec that you contributed. So if someone misuses that spec and goes off and builds product on another variation of your spec and you have not contributed it, you are well within your power to assert your patents. So it's very specific. You still retain your IP. Now, if you happen to be a supplier and you build a product based on an open spec and open design packages, then you can recognize those products by OCP. So we will go through a validation process to say, hey, look, this is a truly open product. There's something open about it. What's open about it? Either the spec is open, or maybe the spec and the design package is open, or maybe the BMC on it, maybe the firmware on it is open. So something about that product needs to be open. And what we do in our product recognition is we validate that. So there are a lot of products out there that claim to be open, and we don't know about it. They're not based on our open specs. There's nothing really truly open about it. So people come to us and say, hey, we're using an OCP product, and we don't know anything about it. So make sure that when you're looking at OCP, you start looking at a validated product. Let's see. So I talked a little bit about the different types of contributions, specifications, design packages, and then what we do is, we validate those products. I think this is a repeat. Yep. Oh, one thing that I wanted to highlight here is that we do testimonials and videos. So I know a lot of our suppliers make these great videos because they've done work with OCP. And we would love to take that video and broadcast it on our website. So if you are making a video and it's based on OCP product, please let us know. Because a lot of our customers want to hear about it, and we want to tell our community we're very proud of the fact that you're doing something with OCP. And you'll get contribution credit for it. So everything here, you will get contribution credit. Lots of ways to get involved. Let's see. So I alluded to this. How do you know if you are an adopter and you're buying something that's true OCP? Well, when we validate a product, we give it a certification mark. It's either an OCP accepted certification mark or it's an OCP inspired certification mark. And the difference between these two is really how open they are. A green symbol means that your design files are completely open. And if you go to our marketplace, you'll be able to see that. When you click on a spec, it says available design collateral. And you can click it and download it, and you can view it. OCP inspired, the design packages are closed, because we do recognize that some of our customers don't want to open up their CAD files. They don't want to open up their test plans. They don't want to open up their BOMs. And so we do have a way for them to get there. So as an adopter, you should be asking yourself, if something is OCP, is it truly open? You should be looking for these certification marks, and you should be including them in your RFP when you're asking for open product. As a supplier, you want to make sure that if you are building a product on an open spec, that you are applying for recognition. The process is completely free. You get this logo, and you can advertise it and use it all throughout your collateral. So long as your product is still available, you can use these certification marks sparingly. We started a new program this year. It's being launched here tomorrow. This program is going beyond the product. It's going to facilities. We recognize that a lot of colos out there have facilities that could be ready to take on OCP racks, right? And what we wanted to do is make sure that those facilities are also recognized. So if you are a colo and you have a facility that is OCP ready, what you do is you fill out a self-assessment, you contact us, we go through and make sure that assessment is there, it meets our guidelines, and you have a landing page. And what I mean by a landing page is if someone clicks on our marketplace and wants to go to an OCP-ready facility, there should be a link into your page, your website, that takes them right to it. And that is something that our community's asked for, a landing page, because they don't want to go looking for something. They just want to go and find the site and find out details about the site. If all of those things are met, we issue an OCP-ready trademark, and we publish it. We publish it on our website. So along with products in our marketplace, you will now be able to see facilities. And each location can get an OCP-ready cert mark. So we're really, really excited about this. We have 2 customers that have already signed up for it. You'll hear about them tomorrow during the modular data center talk. And they've filled out the checklist, they've met the assessment, and their facilities will be OCP ready by the end of the week. So really, really excited about this. So as an adopter, what you want is the ability to get product, the ability to integrate it, and the ability to make sure that someone can support it after you've gotten the product. So we have a solution provider program that is separate from our membership. And this is really targeted towards our suppliers and our integrators. So you can go to the directory and find, if you're looking to adopt, you can go to our directory, get a hold of somebody that's providing solutions like a Circle B here. They know who to go out to get your complete solution. They can go and get an edge core switch. They can go get an OCP rack. They can get nodes. And they integrate it all together, and they provide you a complete solution. So I think it's really, really cool that you can get product directly from the supplier, or you can, if you are looking for a completely integrated solution, that you can find it through our solution provider program. We have the same thing for the OCP facilities now. We have a colo solution provider program. So our colos will have multiple listings, and we want to make sure that they're recognized as solution providers because they are providing a service. And so along with the OCP Ready mark, you will now become a colo solution provider. So we're really excited about that. So this kind of brings me to the end of my presentation. Here's my call to action. If you're interested in becoming more involved with OCP, go to our website. Each project has a charter. You can read it. It's available to you completely free. There's no passwords to get onto our website. It's completely open. Go read it and figure out where your companies really fit in. If you have a product, if you have a spec, if you have a facility now, we would love to hear about it. And it's my job to connect you. It's my job to make sure that you have a presence within the community if you become a member. If you like the way our communities work and you want to lead it, our project elections, lead elections, and our IC elections come up every 2 years. So it's a 2-year term. But we would love to have a lot of leadership from you locally. Craig White's sitting here. He's our Nokia telco project lead. He signed up in June, and he's got a co-lead. So you're never alone. And it's something that builds upon your experience and builds upon your leadership. Each project has a wiki page. So the wiki page will have the charter listed on it. It will have all of the call-in information, so our monthly calls, when those calls are there. It will have a calendar of the next upcoming calls. It will have all the old calls that have occurred so that you can catch up if you need to. Each project or sub-project has a mailing list. Join the mailing list. Like I said, each project has, some of them meet monthly, some of them meet weekly, some of them meet bi-weekly. So it's completely up to you and how involved you want to get and how fast the momentum is for each project. But attend the calls. You'll get everything that you need. And then we have workshops coming up. We've got a couple of them here. There's one at TIP. The TIP Summit's coming up. We've got a telco workshop happening in the United States. We've got a Japan and Taiwan workshop happening in October in Japan. We're starting up an OCP Korea community. We're starting up an OCP China community. So there's a lot of work going on with OCP, not just in the States, but everywhere. And then as you look at your infrastructure, I'd encourage you to start thinking about open solutions. You can hear all about it over the next 2 days of exactly how those open solutions are being utilized in the infrastructure. You can go downstairs and see the hardware and touch it and feel it and know it's tangible. So it's a great way to start by looking at your own infrastructure and trying to adopt OCP internally. Our tagline, consume, collaborate, contribute. So does anyone have any questions? Sure.
You said that the different levels of membership get decreased because of the compensation, because of sponsorship. Can you give me a range on what
Yeah.
the community
Yep.
or what about?
Okay. So the community, so the question was, all the different levels of membership and what are the financial, what are the finances behind them? So our community is our observation level, and that's our lowest level. It's at $2,500 a year. There's no requirement to do anything. You're not required to make a contribution. You're not required to make any sponsorships. You just come, observe, participate. Everything is still open to you, but it's just a participation and observation level. A lot of companies start out that way because they really want to see how OCP works and figure out where they fit in. As you start looking at contributions and as you start looking at leadership, the silver level is at $60,000 US, and that requires no contributions, but it does require one sponsorship event a year. You do incur a discount towards our sponsorship for summits, so our global summit as well as our regional summits. You will get a discount there. It's not a large discount, but it's 10%. So that's great. Then and again, no contribution requirements. If you want to go up a level at gold, it's $50,000 US, and that's, again, an annual thing. Now you're looking at one contribution, so you could either contribute a spec, a white paper, a case study, software, you name it, right? Any one of those things. And you're required to do 2 sponsorship events. And what I mean by sponsorship events is we're a nonprofit, so all the workshops that we hold, we usually need a venue. So that's one. We usually need food and beverage if it's a full day or a half day event. Or we need audio video because we try to tape and video as many of our sessions as possible because, again, we have a global community and they want to be able to see what's going on. So we would love to give you the marketing and the recognition. So if you host it, you get the recognition, you get people to walk through your facility, you get to basically, let them know exactly what you're all about. The last and the top level is the platinum level. And that is not very expensive. It's $40,000 a year, 2 contribution requirements, and 3 sponsorship events. And if you happen to sponsor a booth at our global summit or at our regional summit, there's even more discounts available. And I think it's a 20% discount towards summit, if I'm not mistaken. If you're a platinum member, 15% at gold, and then 10% at silver. Does that answer your question? Perfect. Sure.
Can you give me some examples of the sponsorship events that have events?
Yeah.
Outside of
Yeah. So we just held a Rack and Power workshop at the Delta facility. And it was a full day event. We had Delta provide us their conference room. And they actually volunteered to do the food and beverage too, because it was easier for them to cater in-house. So they ended up doing that. In my opinion, that met 2 sponsorship credits. And basically, during the lunchtime, people took a tour of the entire Delta facility. They went into their labs. They went into their product centers. Their president came out and gave us a little pitch. So we had probably about 120, 130 people in that room. It was great publicity for them. It was great publicity for us, and it worked out. We're having a telco workshop in the DCD Cloud and Colo event in Dallas, Texas. AT&T is sponsoring that. So it's great. I mean, we need a place to meet, and they get a lot of publicity out of it. So, yeah, please.
So when doing hardware design, Gerbers are great in that you can ship them anywhere and get them fabbed, but they're very difficult to modify.
pass it.
Your organization uses a different tool for that.
Yep.
Is there an encouragement towards standardizing some tool sets here? Or just whatever you use that, contribute under that, and then other people have to adapt?
Yes and no. We would like the originals. We don't want a PDF version of anything, right? But yeah, we don't mandate a specific tool requirement. So whatever you have, if you could share it with us, it just has to be legible.
Sure, yeah, okay.
That's it. Yep. Anybody else for any other questions? All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.